And just like that, we're live here from UFC X. It is day 2 of one of the best expos in the world, really. Definitely the best expo in mixed martial arts. Hey, everybody, I'm TJ DeSantis along with King Casey O'Neill, hanging out for extra rounds. Casey, how are you?
I'm great. Very excited to be here once again and doing extra rounds for the first time with you.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
we've done a couple interviews before. Now to have you here and just sort of describe all the sights and sounds and taking it in together. It's a special time to be a UFC fan and someone involved with the sport. For you as an athlete, I'm sure this is a pretty special week for you as well.
Yeah, you know, I love International Fight Week. I love the expo. I love meeting the fans. And I feel like every year that I've came to this thing, it's gotten bigger and bigger. And this year, everyone is out from, 10 a.m. And there's massive lines everywhere. We got our shades on.
That's right.
And we're ready to roll.
Yeah, if you can't tell, it is sunglasses indoors day here with the Fight Pass team. Unfortunately, that means I can't see anything because I don't have the prescription lenses in. But hopefully I don't press any wrong buttons. I think we'll definitely get through it. We're going to have some guests roll through. King Callum Walsh, who's one of the best boxers up and coming. You can watch him on UFC Fight Pass. You might have to fight him for the name. I mean, you both have the nickname King.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to come up with something to settle that. Maybe a scissors, paper, rock, because I'm not sure I want to spar him. So
scissors, paper, rock. Is that how you call paper, rock, scissors in Australia?
Yeah.
Really?
We do everything backwards over there. So scissors, paper, rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Start with the scissors. I feel like that's the most common.
Okay.
Don't you think? Or you think paper is the most common?
I feel like scissors is the most common.
See?
Yeah.
So scissors, paper, rock makes the most sense.
All right. There's actually some research
right?
done into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm learning things here.
Yeah. As Australians are not wrong about much. So.
International Fight Week, you got a lot of Aussies on this card. You know, it's got to be exciting for you to be witnessing not only yourself, blossom inside the UFC, but to see people from your part of the world doing well on the biggest stage. I mean, Alexander Volkanovski fights tonight, #2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. A lot of people thought he beat Islam Makhachev. You got to be pretty excited to see Volk tonight defend his title.
Yeah, I can't wait for the fights tonight. I feel like I've been on countdown all week waiting for this. So, yeah, 5 Aussies, I think, on the card now because obviously Jack Della, unfortunately, fell out. But every single one of these guys I know and I love and I think are amazing. And I think that the Anzacs do a clean sweep tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. It's not just, the Aussies being a part of a card. It's, being involved in fights that have high stakes. I mean, Robert Whittaker taking on Dricus du Plessis, like, that's a title eliminator, So, high stakes, and that's the thing that I love about International Fight Week and just the sport of mixed martial arts as a whole is you get to experience the passion from athletes who are all over the world. We all speak the same language, I think, when it comes to fighting. And, over the last 30 years, we've seen the sport grow as a whole, especially here in the States, but I feel in the last probably 5-6 years, it has exploded in Australia.
Yeah, Australia has massive things at the moment. Obviously on UFC Fight Pass, we've got Eternal MMA, which my dad owns and runs, but a lot of the Australians coming through and into the UFC now are coming from Eternal. I think we've got a 11-1 record as champions from Eternal moving over to the UFC. Me having the one, unfortunately, but we'll get that back on track.
You can leave that part out.
No, I'm honest with people, so
I like it.
And UFC Sydney coming up. Obviously, as you said, the Robert Whittaker fight is massive for that card, so let's see who fights Stylebender, and I'm excited to be on that card too.
Absolutely. We will talk a little bit more about Eternal as well as your King's Cup grappling event, which is headed your way on UFC Fight Pass. Now we're going to get more international flavor here on Extra Rounds. Please be joined by one of the best up-and-coming boxers in the world. His name is King Callum Walsh, kind enough to join us here. Callum, I'll get you in the middle. Press this button here. This one there. Callum Walsh joining us now in Extra Rounds. How are you, sir?
I'm good, yeah, I'm very good.
You know, last time we saw you at Hollywood Fight Nights, came up with a win. A little bit sketchy, though. You got cut over that left eye, I believe. You responded quite well. Is that the first time you've been cut in a pro fight?
It's the first time I've ever been cut in any fight, yeah. Any fight, yeah, ever.
What was it like experiencing that? Because, I mean, you know, everything the first time is somewhat new, difficult to deal with in the midst of a, you know, prize fight. It looked like it didn't take you off your game.
Well, actually, I've been caught once before, but I wasn't in the ring. I got hit with a glass before. But,
glass?
Yeah, I got hit with a glass. Yeah, but no, it was all right being in there. I didn't really feel it. I know we clashed heads and I felt a bit of blood, but you know, I'm in the middle of a fight. Like, what can I do? You know, I wasn't gonna cry about it or whatever. I just got on with it, and I didn't actually. To be honest, I had no idea what round it even was. And I was just like, right, I don't know whether it's the 3rd round or the 7th round, but I'm just going to try and finish it next round, and that was it.
I mean, the Cutman did a phenomenal job. He came out and took care of business, got the stoppage. You know, we're talking about boxing, obviously, on UFC Fight Pass. When I look at, you know, mixed martial arts, we focus heavy on UFC Fight Pass. But you have boxing, you have Casey O'Neill's grappling event, the King's Cup. Casey, are you a boxing fan?
I watch a little bit. I struggle to keep up with the MMA itself, and obviously train a lot, so keep up with it a little bit, but I guess I'm gonna have to watch a little bit more because we share the same nickname, so I'm definitely a fan from here on out. But I think we will have to settle who gets to keep that nickname somehow, so I don't want to spar you, and I definitely don't want to street fight from that glass story, so we'll figure out a nice way to come up with who gets to keep it.
I mean, Casey, you're already digging deep with the investigative journalism, asking about the glass story. I wasn't going to dig in, but I mean, is there a story there, Callum?
It was just in a bar back home, but it's normal, you know. I'm Irish, everybody gets in a few fights.
There you go.
So,
listen, I'm from Scotland too, so as soon as he said it, I was like, yeah, I get it. That's a normal Friday night for us back home, right?
I'm sure it was like a Wednesday night or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. You have to be the only female fighter with the nickname King, no?
I think so, yeah. Most people usually give me shit for it because, you know, it doesn't fit a girl, but I think it fits me pretty good.
Right. It is International Fight Week here in Las Vegas. We got the pride of Ireland in the boxing ring. King Callum Walsh joining us on Extra Rounds. You know, you were just back in Ireland. What was the homecoming like after that big win?
Oh, man, it was crazy. You know, I came home with the belt. It felt good. You know, everybody was happy enough to see me. Went out to Portugal then after, and it was the same. It was a massive response out in Portugal too. Even in a foreign country, it was very good. It was good to be home with a belt.
Yeah, that's what's really exciting too. We're talking about Eternal, you know, highlighting the MMA fighters from Australia. You got Hollywood Fight Nights, highlighting boxers from all over the world as well. We're going to talk to Umar Dzambekov here in a moment. But Callum, you know, you're getting recognized. The buzz is growing each time out, and you know, what is it like to you walk around here and have people come up to you? And you know, again, boxing and MMA have long been sort of separated. They're cousins in combat sports, but we're now starting to see big hardcore fans, I think, of both sports, and you're as big as any other boxer, I think, in the MMA space.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, walking around here, these are all MMA fans, you know, and people are still showing me respect, asking me for pictures and stuff, and I think it's because I'm not your average boxer, you know, that's afraid to fight or that's picking and choosing. They know, like, I'm bringing, like, the UFC, you know, the best fight the best, and that's what I'm trying to do, like, bring that mindset into boxing and, you know, show people that we're not all pussies in boxing. You know, there's some of us that will fight anyone, and I've done that. You know, I've said it since the start of my career. I'll fight anyone, and I'm taking on big fights. You know, I'm 7 fights in, I already have a belt. So
right. Yeah, and I saw you mowing the lawn in Ireland with that belt on.
Oh, did you see the dance too?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, like, you got to be pretty proud of that belt.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's what I want. I want belts, and my other shoulder's getting a bit cold. I think I need another one, I'd say.
What is next? I've heard, I mean, Tom Loeffler sort of let the cat out of the bag. He has plans on trying to bring you out to Madison Square Garden and the theater there in November, but is it another fight signed already? Do you have something coming up in August?
August 26th. I'm going to fight again. I've no idea who I'm fighting. They probably know. I didn't even ask.
Right.
They just gave me the date, and I'll show up and fight. But yeah, that's the plan. August 26th, I'm going to fight again, and November then Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, how important do you think it is, Casey, for athletes, you know, not just in mixed martial arts, but boxers to stay active and you know, have a pretty ambitious fight schedule? Is it key to their development?
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier every time that you step in there. You know, it's comfortable, it becomes home, and, you know, the more that you train, you can only get those feels of the nerves in a fight. So he's doing the right thing by staying active. You know, you're only 22, 7 fights in. I'm sure you've got a massive you know, future ahead of you, and I hope that you take it back to the UK and, you know, put on a big show over there. I'd love to come and see that. But when do you think you would be able to get something going in Ireland?
We're planning on making a homecoming after MSG in November, hopefully. But that's the thing about the weather. You have to wait till the summer. You know, if you're going to do it, it has to be summertime. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a big homecoming next summer. Yeah,
well, I know all of my cousins and everything love you over there, and everybody in the UK is a big fan, so that'll be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, what is life like for you between fights? Because, I mean, you just had the fight in June, fighting in August. I mean, you go home and probably enjoy that time, but is it right back to work when you get back to the States?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I had 3 weeks there of craziness. I done a bit of MMA training, though, while I was home. I don't know if you've seen on my Instagram, I posted a reel of throwing a few kicks and stuff. That was the only training I'd done back home, but yeah, now we're straight back into work here. When I come to, you know, LA, I live right by the wildcard, so it's just straight training from here on in.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get out of training when you live basically right there, right?
Yeah, I live next door, and I'd say if I tried to skip a Freddy, he'd be knocking in, he'd come over.
Yeah. I did see on Instagram you were owning the punching bag arcade game in Ireland. Like, do you just win those all the time? Like, can you make a living on the side from just taking bets that you can break all these records? It seems like it.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a couple of them around here. I might try and break a few records. I don't know what it is. I just and it's my right hand too. I'm left-handed, and I can break the high score on every machine with my right hand.
Really?
Yeah. Even when that was in Portugal, that video, and there was people coming to the bars finding me, and they were challenging me to beat the scores, and I made a nice bit of money. So. It was all right.
You ever tried the punch measure game?
I haven't, but maybe that's how we settle the nickname thing. Maybe I'll follow you down there and give it my best crack. So let's
take
go
that
for
bet
it.
all day. Yeah.
There you go. Awesome, Callum. We appreciate your time. Best of luck coming up here in this fight. Who you don't even know who you're fighting yet in August, but it's sort of your mantra: anytime, anywhere.
That's it. Yeah, anytime, anywhere, anyone. So. I'm ready. I know I'll be ready. That's the thing, you know. Once I'm ready, it doesn't matter who's in there, you know.
Yeah, before we get you out of here, your thoughts on the big UFC 290 card tonight. Alexander Volkanovski taking on Yair Rodriguez, Brandon Moreno taking on Alexandre Pantoja. Your thoughts on the main and co-main events?
You know, I like Volkanovski. I think he's definitely one of the best fighters ever out there, and I think he's going to win. You know, I think there's a big size difference, but you know he's good. I like him for that, and. Yeah, for the co-main, I like Brandon Moreno as well. Yeah, I like him for that. So there's some good fights, so I'm looking forward to the card as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the fights, enjoy International Fight Week, and we'll see you before too long back on Fight Pass.
Definitely. Thank you.
There he is. King Callum Walsh, kind enough to join us on Extra Rounds.
Thank you.
And now we're going to be joined by Umar Dzambekov, who 9-time Austrian champion. He's got a fight coming up later this month on UFC Fight Pass. We welcome him in, and he's another guy that has been incredibly busy on the scene. Fought last June, just a few weeks back, and getting back into it once again. Trains with the wild card alongside Callum Walsh and Freddie Roach. Where is he? There he is. Can't miss this young man. Umar, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for joining us. Quick turnaround for you. You've been very active. What number fight this year will it be coming up here on the 22nd?
This year will be my fourth fight.
Yeah, I mean that's ambitious. It sounds like you're just wanting to fit as many as you can in a calendar year.
Yeah, I'm being active. I'm really being active. That's my fourth fight now, 22nd July, so 2 weeks left.
Yeah, I mean, you're out here with Callum and, the team for International Fight Week. Are you a big mixed martial arts fan?
I am, definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. I like all of them fighters, but the first time I ever really got in, like, UFC watching all that was through Conor McGregor.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, he's a magnetic personality. Would you think about doing MMA later after the boxing career maybe starts to wind down?
I love watching MMA, but boxing is actually the sport I grew up my whole life with, but never say never.
Right, absolutely. 9-time Austrian champ, now mixing it up at the pro level, undefeated. What do you think realistically are the goals over the next year? Do you think that a big-time title fight could be in your future?
I don't really want to talk about the future right now. I'm working my way up, doing my fights, showing my skills, being impressive, obviously, and yeah, then when I'm at that certain point, I'll prove it all.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch you grow. You have that, amateur background in boxing and success there. You know, that's one thing, Casey, I think is important too, to sort of look at mixed martial artists and boxers alike. You know, you get that experience on the regional level, and then you come to the pro level, and then you shine on these big stages. That's incredibly important for up-and-coming fighters, whether it's boxing or mixed martial arts. And it's a platform, I think, that 10, 15 years ago, like, you would go have one fight and you'd end up being a pro. You know, there was no amateur in MMA, and I think we started to see more mixed martial artists have the same sort of upbringing that Umar's had in the amateur scene.
Yeah, I think that boxers do that right. They take fights, you know, every weekend. When I used to train in Australia at a boxing gym, all those amateurs were going somewhere every different weekend to compete, up weight divisions, whatever they could get for experience. So when they get into the pro leagues, you know, they have that experience of being in the cage. They feel good in there, and, you know, the records show. Like you said, you're 9-0. Obviously had a great amateur background as well, and you've shown it in the pros as well. How different is it coming out here and training in the States compared to being in Europe?
Totally different. I always say just the crowd is just, when you're in a fight and throwing punches, whatever, the crowd just go crazy. And Europe is just a little bit different. It's not that way. So I really enjoy much more fighting like in America. And as I always said before as well, like the sparring partners, the training, all that stuff that makes you grow like crazy.
You're pretty much a guy that lives in the gym too, right? Like, I remember we called one of your fights earlier this year, and you said you went home, but short of that, like, you're always in the wild card.
Yeah, I'm basically always there. Morning I train, I go back, rest, eat, then repeat.
Yeah, that's a question for both of you guys. Like, obviously, it requires a lot of time and effort to train and compete at the highest level. If you guys ever take a day away, Casey, I'll start with you. Do you ever feel like guilty for maybe taking a day off, or do you even take a day off? Can you allow yourself to take a day off when you know you're supposed to be in the gym?
It is hard, you know, like, say you've got a niggling injury or something and you just miss a session, you do definitely feel guilty about it, but you know, you can always train in other ways, watch tape, and, you know, be in the gym actively. So that's how I navigate that, but I definitely feel guilty when I'm not there.
How about for you, Umar? Like, when you are in the gym, what is your main focus? Is it a lot of sparring? Is it a lot of pad work? Like, what are you doing when you're in the wild card?
It's always to get better at one thing. Like as she said, like whenever like you do not train or you whatever hurt, you always feel guilty. So that's why you watch tape. You do something different, just so you're being active somehow, mental, physical, whatever, what's possible. And yeah, I always try to improve whatever, one basic thing. As long as you get better day by day, step by step, that's the most important thing.
How much are you focusing on your upcoming opponent when you're in the gym? Because, I mean, you're a guy who has a busy schedule. You probably are focusing on, you know, who you're fighting. But do you make that a focal point of your camp, or are you just always just trying to round out your overall game when you're in the gym?
I mean, I always watch my opponents. The thing is, I have had already so many fights, not as a pro now, but as an amateur, but later on, so many sparring partners, everything, so I've seen a lot of different styles. The only thing is you have to focus on that special style on that day you're going to fight, and then you have to perform. That's the thing. So basically 2 weeks left, and I know my opponent is a orthodox stance fighter, and that's for me as a southpaw something very usual, and I know always works on orthodox fighter, and I try to do it every time.
Awesome. July 22nd, Umar Dzambekov on the Hollywood Fight Nights card. You can watch it live on UFC Fight Pass. Umar, appreciate the time. Enjoy the fights at International Fight Week.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
There he is, Umar Dzambekov, kind enough to join us on Extra Rounds. And, man, you see, that's the thing that I love, Casey, is the success of mixed martial arts has really provided the opportunity for, I think, MMA fans to start to see boxing and grappling for what it is. I mean, mixed martial arts is the overall universe of combat. But I think there are times where we need to step back and really appreciate the finer points of single-based martial arts. And the word martial arts and boxing, I don't hear those two words correlated with one another very often. Same with wrestling. Like wrestling, they're all martial arts, but I enjoy stepping back from the MMA world and just watching these specialists go to work. And, you know, two of the best in the world, Umar Dzambekov and Callum Walsh, definitely fit that mold. When you're not watching MMA, like, are you primarily watching grappling? Do you like kickboxing? Like, what do you watch when you're not watching the UFC?
Yeah, you know, I like to watch everything. I obviously watch a lot of MMA because I'm you know, I'm a part of this and this is my life. But like you said, specialists, they're a little bit, they put me in awe a little bit, you know. So like in MMA, if a fight's not going well on the feet, you can take them down. If a fight's not doing well on the ground, you can stand back up.
Right.
You know, you get to start, and you got a lot of options. But in boxing, you have to be on your game, on point, 24/7, because a little mistake will cost you the fight.
Yeah.
In grappling, with the same thing, you know. So I do like to take a step back and watch these things and appreciate them. And Fight Pass is awesome for that, because there's so much on there and it's so easily accessible for us. So yeah.
Yeah, so much on Fight Pass, including Eternal MMA, which is the promotion ran in Australia by your father. Your father, you mentioned, was a fighter, also a promoter. You're a fighter and a promoter. So not only does fighting run in the family, but promoting does as well.
Yeah, right. So my sister actually runs the show as well. My dad runs the show, and I've just started a grappling competition. We have our first invitational coming up on July 30th, right after UFC 291. So it's called King's Cup Invitational. Awesome card in Australia on the Gold Coast, and very excited to you know, put that one together, and excited to see how all the matches play out.
Yeah, tell me about the process of, you know, going out there and finding the athletes to do it. You mentioned it's an invitational. Do you like doing the research and finding athletes that fit your mold and brand of promoting?
Yeah, you know, so coming up on the amateur scene in Australia, obviously I knew a lot of people in the scene of MMA in Australia, and my dad obviously knows a lot of people, so it's something that I'm like well versed in, I think. But I do feel like, especially the grapplers in Australia, they don't get the same opportunities until they get a massive name like a Craig Jones, like a Lachlan Gals, like a Olivia Gals. Unless you're one of those people, you're not getting the opportunity to shine. And there's some amazing coaches in Australia right now bringing on amazing talent. One gem I would like to highlight is Sydney West Martial Arts. They have some amazing grapplers coming through there. I think I've got 3 of them on my show. One of them, Curtis Martin, is actually my main event versus current UFC middleweight Philip Hawes.
Wow.
So that match I'm very, very excited for, and I think that if all of them shine, you know, hopefully they get some opportunities overseas in America as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the name Craig Jones. He was just part of our UFC Fight Pass Invitational last week. He got a big win in the main event. You know, I'm looking at grappling, and for a long time it's been sort of a niche of a niche. You know, mixed martial arts has been, you know, really big the last 10 years. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has always been sort of the main subculture, I think, to MMA. And now we're starting to see stars really sort of gravitate and grab fans. You know, Craig Jones is a phenomenal, you know, personality on and off the mat. I love his interviews. I love his style of grappling. You know, Gordon Ryan, one of his chief rivals, has definitely changed the game. George St. Pierre now is coming back and going to compete on the UFC Fight Pass Invitational in December. Like, obviously someone who appreciates the game, you've got to be pretty excited about the opportunities, not only as a competitor, but also a promoter, that the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is starting to really afford up-and-coming and current UFC stars and just grappling competitors as a whole.
Yeah, and you know, I think that has a lot to do with the new rule sets that are coming around grappling to make it more exciting for a casual fan to watch. I think that the point system's a little outdated, so all the things like the Fight Pass Invitational and King's Cup, points are taken out, submission only, forced to put action together, and you know, you see some amazing things, and even casuals that don't really know anything about the sport can watch it and appreciate it and be like, wow.
Yeah, we're
what was happening just now?
We got to talk about rule sets and format here before our show is over. Now we're going to be joined by UFC competitor Raul Rosas Jr. He definitely took the sport by storm coming up through the Contender Series, and we'll get him on now. Kind enough to join us here at International Fight Week. A big weekend here in Las Vegas for the Mexicans. You got Brandon Moreno defending his title. Yair Rodriguez hoping to become the undisputed champ. And now we are joined by Raul Rosas, who's asking King Casey for an autograph. You guys train together now?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah? Raul, how are you?
Good.
Good, man. I appreciate you coming out. What has International Fight Week been like for you?
I barely got here yesterday, so yeah, I haven't been here.
Yeah, I mean, you have a mass amount of UFC fans. I assume you're one of the guys that are getting stopped every few seconds for photos and autographs.
Yeah.
What is it like, being so young? You really came on the scene and, took the sport by storm. Is it something you enjoy, mixing it up with the fans and taking photos?
What do you mean?
Like, do you enjoy being with the fans?
Yeah. I enjoy being with the fans because I remember as a kid how I would look at UFC fighters. Like I would see a UFC fighter and want a picture. But yeah, it feels pretty amazing. But I'm just focused on my goal right now. And,
I mean, obviously you're asking Casey O'Neill for some autographs, so.
Yeah. She didn't give it to me though. Hella disrespectful.
I should have a pen.
I don't have a pen.
Yeah,
I don't have nothing.
So,
but I know you've been away training overseas as well. So I haven't seen you in the gym for a little while. So I'm sure you've got some new skills that I haven't seen. So I'm very excited for us to roll again and see how much you've grown. But is there anything that you learned being overseas that you didn't have before you went?
Yeah, a lot of details like in wrestling, of course, like with my old coach. Like I said, I didn't know none wrestling. Like all the wrestling I learned was like in 1 month thanks to him. So that's why I went back all the way over there because I knew if he was able to teach me all the wrestling I know in 1 month, like I can just imagine another month with him. Because I haven't seen him in 4 years because he's like from Russia. So we met over there and I was able to.
Yeah, and how was Russia as an experience, for a young fighter to go over somewhere and be put into such an uncomfortable, place? It's not your comfort zone. You have some great training partners over there, I'm sure. Anyone you'd like to mention or?
I forgot their names, but it was pretty amazing, like new culture, new food, new language, everything, it was pretty amazing experience.
I'm sure.
What's your favorite part of the sport of mixed martial arts to focus on in training?
What do you mean?
Like, do you prefer to really focus on jiu-jitsu? Is it the wrestling game? Is it striking? What do you look forward to the most in the gym?
I think I look forward to striking more. Like it's kind of more fun, But because I feel like wrestling is the hardest, but that's why striking is pretty fun. But I actually like all of it, to be honest, because it gets pretty wild. Like over there at 10th Planet, we. Just do some crazy stuff. So it's always fun training on everything. So I'm glad that I'm able to enjoy the whole process,
Right. Raul Rosas Jr. It's hard for me to say, Raul. Joining myself, TJ DeSantis and King Casey O'Neill. It's International Fight Week, as I mentioned. UFC 290 tonight. Yair Rodriguez, the interim featherweight champ, takes on Alexander Volkanovski. I know Casey O'Neill's going Alexander Volkanovski. Can you make a case here for Yair Rodriguez? Tell Casey why she's wrong.
Do you think Volk is going to win?
I mean, I have to be Team Australia. I
yeah,
understand
that
you're
is
Team
true.
Mexico.
I mean, they're both great fighters, but I think Yair is unpredictable,
Right.
I feel like one of those kicks is going to land, one of those elbows, and it's just going to be new champion. That's what I'm hoping for,
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen his custom belt? What he did with his belt? It's hand painted. It's all colored. It's beautiful looking.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's awesome. You got to check it out. Have you seen it, Casey?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Brandon Moreno, co-main event. It's interesting. Moreno is the favorite. He's taking on Alexandre Pantoja, a gentleman who owns 2 wins over him. One in the Ultimate Fighter, one in the pro level. I mean, they're both pro, but the Ultimate Fighter fight was an exhibition. But Moreno, 0-2 technically against Pantoja. Still the favorite tonight. You like Moreno in the co-main?
Yeah, Moreno. I think it'll be a historic night if Yair and Moreno can pull it off, it'll be a historic moment for Mexico.
I mean, it's been a historic year for Mexico. 3 champions, all born south of the border. Alexa Grasso, Yair Rodriguez, Brandon Moreno, and you're one of the new upcoming stars. The Mexican culture has long been into combat sports, primarily a boxing culture, but now MMA is so big. It's got to be exciting for you to see the Mexicans do so well and the Mexican fans, the outpouring of support.
Yeah, it's really amazing to finally see Mexico, new talent coming out of Mexico, because there's also new upcomers on this fight card from Mexican fighters, so it's gonna be pretty amazing in a few years to see more Mexican fighters starting to pop up, especially because of the UFC PI that's gonna get built over there in Mexico. I feel like that's all we need over there, because there's a lot of talent, but they don't have the support system, So I feel like with that, it's just gonna be a great thing for Mexico.
Yeah, we got some phenomenal regional shows south of the border that you can watch on UFC Fight Pass as well. UWC is one of those, and just watching Mexican mixed martial arts grow, it's rewarding, I think, for not only the athletes, but the fans alike. Raul, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of International Fight Week, and we'll see how Yair and Brandon do tonight at UFC 290.
Oh, yes, tonight, huh? I forgot.
It is, yeah, so many things going on. We'll get you on your way. Raul Rosas Jr. kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds as we march closer and closer. Oh, man, you know, it's...
We're tangled here.
No.
Hold on. There you go.
There we go.
You got it. We figured that out pretty quickly.
Live radio and TV, it's a risky business, you know, especially with athletes like yourselves. We got to make sure we don't tear any ACLs or anything. But I want to get back to submission grappling. You're talking about the rule set for King's Cup. I'm partial to the EBI rules. I love the points being not a factor at all. I like the overtime, but you're doing things a little bit different. Sub only, and then the last, how long is it with points?
So it's a 10-minute match, 9 minutes of no points. The last minute, there's points, so you can win by points if nothing happens.
Right.
The reason I like it over the EBI is because I do feel like sometimes people will stall until the EBI.
Sure.
Which means the only exciting part of the match is the EBI bit, right? So I want to see how it goes when you take that out, and people, you know, they've got 9 minutes. They don't need to worry about being on bottom. They don't need to worry about people passing their guard. They can go for it. When that last minute comes, you know, if nothing's happened, you've got the chance to secure some points and get the win.
Same could be said, though, for stalling to the point minute, you know.
That's true. That's true.
But this is what I think is exciting about it. We're in this time where grappling is being promoted at the highest level, a lot of money and effort being put into it. It's sort of this information gathering period. I mean, I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has been around for a very long time, but prominently it's been you know, done in an IBJJF sort of rule set. Now we're starting to see these one-night fight shows really change the way that the rule set is, you know, unfolded for a night of exciting grappling. So I don't think there's really any wrong answers. We're trying to find the best solution. And one thing that I think is also great is there can be multiple answers. We can have a variety of shows with different rule sets.
Yeah, I mean, the UFC shown that as it started. You know, it started as a one-night tournament with a bunch of people fighting a few times in a night, several times. Sorry, I couldn't get that word out. But yeah, I think that it's just going to take a couple of years until we figure out, you know, what the best way is. And maybe there'll be a couple of different shows that keep it different and keep it exciting, and I think that options is never a bad thing.
Yeah, the Fight Pass Invitational, we had a co-main event of Glover Teixeira taking on Anthony Smith, and they did a match similar to a mixed martial arts fight in the sense it was 3 rounds with judges on a 10-point must system. I don't hate that, but I also like the idea of the competitors being the ones who decide who win. No judges. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. That's what Dana White always says. You can't leave it in the hands of the judges if there's no judges, you know, so.
Yeah, I actually thought that was the most exciting match of the night. I loved the rounds. I really didn't think that I would, but I did. But I think you're right. I don't know how I felt about somebody else judging it. I think maybe if it was a sub-only, 3 rounds with maybe the EBI at the end. I know that's a lot of work for someone, but at least they get that little break in between.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking of is, you know, if you wanted to have the judges or avoid overtime, is maybe you have 3 judges score the regulation period, and if for any reason they're not in unanimous agreement, then maybe you go to an overtime.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, again, a lot of options, a lot of answers. One thing that is another option of the submission grappling mat, combat jiu-jitsu. How do you feel about that?
I like it. I really want to do it, I think, one time. You know, it hasn't lined up with my schedule so far in terms of fighting, but as something that I would love to do. I wouldn't mind slapping somebody, giving them, you know, a Stockton slap. So
there you go.
I'd love to.
Right. I mean, that's one thing I think that is lost on some of the MMA fans who maybe aren't the biggest straight grappling fans is, you know, the whole game changes when you're allowed to hit somebody, even if it is a palm strike or a Stockton slap, if you will. And I think that is one part of jiu-jitsu that should constantly be a focal point, because if you get too comfortable in the gym, then jiu-jitsu starts to lose its actual self-defense mechanism, in the sense that no one's going to like take you down in a street confrontation and not try to punch you in the face generally.
Right, exactly, yeah. So the control obviously is a massive part of jiu-jitsu at the moment, but you add that damage, people aren't going to be too comfortable just laying there in the guard. So it definitely makes for an exciting match as well.
So obviously we're talking about the King's Cup. What's the date on that again?
July 30th.
July 30th. So it's
the day after 291.
Yeah,
so.
that's going to be a pretty busy night because I think Combat Jiu-Jitsu is going down that same time, same day in Mexico. So that's what I like. You know, again, UFC Fight Pass, it's your #1 stop for all combat sports, not just MMA, but boxing and grappling. And man, I smile every time I think about the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu getting that spotlight. So
yeah, I love that all the athletes are getting a platform to perform on, and Fight Pass, even with their invitationals, they're doing massive things for the grappling world, and I feel like more and more people are talking about it. Even people in my personal life who don't have anything to do with MMA are thinking about trying jiu-jitsu. My stepdad wanted to try it, for example. So people are excited and interested in the sport.
Well, you are a promoter. You got the King's Cup. Is there like an awesome actual King's Cup? Are you coming up with like a trophy for?
I think if I do a tournament style,
yeah.
I will. But this one is just individual matches,
okay.
so not this time. But
you get. I mean, it gives you time to like design something pretty awesome.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Maybe a belt.
Maybe
a belt.
That's the thing. Like, I love belts.
Yeah.
What do you think about the BMF title coming back?
I love that, and I love the fight for it.
Yeah.
I think there's no two more deserving people. I think that Nate Diaz came up with something genius when he came up with that to fight Jorge, and I would love to see it be passed down multiple times. I'd actually love to see Jorge pass it down to the winner of the fight. So
that would be cool if he was the one to wrap it around the waist. Yeah,
I got to talk to Dana about that one.
You might as well. You might as well. What about you? When's your next fight?
I'm fighting on the Sydney card in Australia, so September 9th for everyone in the US.
And who are you fighting?
Viviane Araujo.
What is your camp looking like? Like, do you? Some athletes love to do tape study and really sort of invest into their opponent. Don Fry does a show on Fight Pass called Tea and Whiskey with Caroline Pierce. He has said multiple times this week when talking to athletes that he thinks his philosophy is to sort of be the best you. Don't worry about being the best you to beat them. Don't change your style. What is your thoughts on approaching an opponent? Do you do a lot of tape study and try to modify, how you approach certain opponents?
A bit of both, So I think that once you get to the level of being in the UFC, everyone is a great fighter. So you do need to do some tape study to make sure that, you're seeing what exactly your opponent will do. But I do watch a lot of fights. I don't miss a card. So I've often seen my opponents, last 3 fights and can pretty much remember what I need to remember, and my coaches do a lot of the tape study for me as well. So I do focus more on myself, but I do think that once you get to this level, you do need to put a little bit into your opponent and what they're going to do so that there's no surprises come fight night.
I remember doing an interview with you not long ago. We were talking about your dad's love of mixed martial arts and how it's really sort of a family interest. Do you ever allow yourself to not be plugged into the mixed martial arts world? Because if it's not, getting ready for yourself or putting on a show or, following, the regional scene in Australia as well as here, it leaves little time to be a fan of pretty much anything else. Like being a mixed martial arts fan and fighter, obviously, it feels like a lifestyle. Do you ever unplug from that world?
I can't remember the last time that I did, to be honest. I think that I've been around this since I was 4 years old. My dad obviously was a fighter, as you said, and he started promoting when I was really young as well. So I've been begging to fight MMA since I was 13. I had my first fight at 15, so not much time away from it, and I think this is sort of my only hobby, but I'm okay with that. I love this sport, and I'm happy that it's my life, and I'm happy that I get to walk down this path. Not everybody gets here, and not everybody is able to, so I'm grateful every day.
Going back in the archives, if you will, when you were, coming up at, just a young kid, becoming a fan of the sport, was there any one fighter that was your sort of like inspiration? Did you look up to anybody before you started fighting?
I have a really weird one for my first one. So when I was young, I used to strut around the house in a robe and sunglasses for Phil Baroni when I was a kid. I don't know why. I think it may be the personality, but I loved him coming up. And then I had a lot of people, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva. I loved watching people who were just amazing at ranges, amazing at kicking, amazing at shutting down their opponents. And then obviously Ronda Rousey was a big one for me as well. So her bringing women into the UFC was massive for me. I think I was very young when it first came out, and The Ultimate Fighter that had Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate, I was obsessed with that season. So I finally saw it as a career for me and not just a hobby. So it was awesome.
How much did those personalities inform maybe your persona? And because I mean, this is a sport obviously you do well inside the octagon, but the rewards and it's prize fighting. The prizes seem to get bigger and better. The more you promote yourself. Have you borrowed any inspiration from those athletes and how you market yourself to fans?
I think I'm just being myself now. I think that when I was growing up and I was young, I did, and I tried to be a little mean to people and maybe for no reason, but that was kind of like the defense mechanism I put up, was to just be a little bit of an asshole. But now I'm just being myself, and I love it, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, let's get into this 290 card a little bit. I already got Raul Rosas' pick. Break it down. Why does Alexander Volkanovski get the win and reclaim that undisputed status in our main event?
I mean, Alexander Volkanovski is Alexander Volkanovski, and that's like a big thing that can be said about him, right? Every time that he's doubted, he showed up and, proved himself. Even in the Islam Makhachev fight, which was for pound #1, I do think that he won that fight, in my opinion, but I am biased because I am Australian, so I will claim that. But I thought he showed amazing skills in that fight. He doesn't really have any holes.
Right.
So for someone like Yair Rodriguez to beat him, he needs to expose a hole by being dangerous and being reckless, which he is. He is dangerous. He is flamboyant. It is unexpected. You can expect the unexpected with him. But I do feel like Alex doesn't really leave any openings.
Right.
So I would be shocked to see something, big land, but it's MMA, anything can happen.
Yeah, what do you
but
think?
I'm taking the Aussie. Taking the Aussie.
What about method of victory? Do you feel it goes the distance? Does Volk get him out of there?
I think Volk's tough, and I think that Yair has shown some vulnerability on the ground, and Alex has shown in his first few fights in the UFC that he's able to take people down, and they're not able to get back up, and the ground and pound is nasty. And that's how I see this fight going. I see him getting him down early and round after round, beating that out of him, and possibly a late round 3, round 4 stoppage.
All right, in our co-main event, Brandon Moreno, the assassin baby, puts his flyweight championship on the line against a familiar foe, and Alexandre Pantoja. It's their second official meeting. They have the exhibition bout on The Ultimate Fighter. Pantoja technically, though, up 2-0 on Moreno. Still, the Mexican is your favorite to win the fight. Moreno, I mean this with all compliments, but he sort of fights up and down to his competition. It's always a very close and exciting fight. Sometimes to his detriment, because I think he engages in a fighting style that it's subjective sometimes. If it's a war, you can always find a judge, it seems, that will make the argument for maybe the guy that not everyone saw winning the fight. What does this fight look like tonight against Moreno and Pantoja?
I 100% think you hit the nail on the head. I do think that he fights to the level of his opponent. But I also believe that after that second Davidson-Figueiredo fight, something changed about Brandon Moreno. He seemed to, whether it was he got Davidson's number or he just figured something out about himself, he seemed to come out in that third fight a completely different fighter, in my opinion. So he showed that he's on a new level. I do think that playing mind games with the 0 and 2 is going to be happening a little bit for him. It's hard to not think about someone who's beat you twice as a legitimate threat to your crown. So it's going to be mental, in my opinion, with Brandon Moreno. I think that if he can get that out early and he can fight his fight, I think he wins. But I think that if that starts to overwhelm him and he gets off to a slower start, I do see Pantoja taking a decision.
Those are your two title fights tonight in the main and co-main events. We've got a title eliminator position right under that. The former champ in the middleweight division, Robert Whittaker, takes on Dricus du Plessis. Winner of this probably going to fight Israel Adesanya. I'm assuming you're pulling for Robert Whittaker.
I'm actually pulling for Dricus du Plessis.
Okay.
And it's for the one fact that I want to see Israel Adesanya fight Dricus du Plessis. I'm so sorry, that name is really hard to say. But we've seen Robert Whittaker twice. I want to see some fresh blood in there for Israel Adesanya. So selfishly, I'd like to see Dricus win, but obviously I would be very happy if Rob wins.
How big would that fight, though, be between du Plessis and Adesanya? It would be massive.
It would be massive, and hopefully we would get it on the September card, and that would be the main event of the card I'm on, which would just be awesome because everybody's tuning into that fight. There's already bad blood between the two. It started early. There's no fight signed, but they're already talking to each other as if there is. So I can only imagine the lines that we would get out of Israel Adesanya if that was put together, you know.
Let's talk a little bit about the middleweight king, because Izzy is a guy who's, you know, incredible inside the octagon, but also really great on the mic. You know, we're here at International Fight Week, had the Hall of Fame ceremony on Thursday. It's hard for me to believe that Israel won't find himself in the Hall of Fame when his career is all said and done. You know, looking at Izzy, what does it mean to you to see him, you know, from your part of the world, go out there and really become this sort of mainstream, massive star who, to me, has all the intangibles required to not only be a star in MMA, but someone who transcends the sport? And, I mean, this guy could be in movies.
I think he will be, you know. I think that his future is whatever he wants it to be. I think that Israel knows himself and has really found himself, and I think that everybody relates to him because he is able to portray that so well. As you said, with his words, with his actions, with his fights, everything. Everybody feels when Israel fights, whether it feels good or feels bad, they feel something, you know. So people love him or people hate him, but he is authentic and he is real, and his post-fight speeches are better than no one, you know. Like, nobody can do it like that. So.
No, 100%. I mean,
especially not me. I struggle to talk when I have no pressure right after a fight.
I mean, what do they say?
Unbelievable.
Actions are louder than words.
Exactly,
so, you know?
yeah.
But you know, the way Izzy got on the mic after the last Alex Pereira fight, I don't know how you change your mindset from fighting to now speaking and resonating with people, because it was like it was a movie, and if they were shooting a movie, that was a one-take sort of scene. Like the way he did that. A lot of people didn't like the way that he taunted Pereira's son, but I mean, love him or hate him, that's Israel Adesanya. And kind of what you were getting to, you know, it's one thing to market yourself and try to play a character. I think Izzy is a character, but I don't think it's one that he's playing.
No, I think himself is just, you know, that big and loud, infectious person, and I do think that a lot of raw emotion is always coming out with Israel, and he allows it to be that, you know, no matter how you feel about it. The Alex Pereira stuff, the taunting of the son, that's something that he's sat with for years. He has thought about that, I'm sure, more than anybody can even imagine. And especially coming up to that fight, you could see it. He was talking about it. He had a darkness about him. He said that he was, you know, in his emotions over that fight, and it all spelled out, and we saw it. And whether you liked it or not, you know, that was him, and he owns that. And yeah, I think it was a great release.
Yeah, absolutely. We are definitely a ways away from a Bo Nickel Israel Adesanya fight, but a lot of people are getting behind Bo Nickel, who's this wrestling phenom, three-time NCAA champion out of Penn State. He's on this card 4-0, and I mean, to be 4-0, he was 3-0 when he made his UFC debut on the main card of a pay-per-view. What are your thoughts on the potential for a guy like Bo Nickel, who again is a straight wrestler, but is also showing the promise of a phenomenal up-and-coming mixed martial artist?
You know, 4-0 is very young in the game, but as you said, he's a competitor. He's been around. He's done massive things in wrestling, so that competitive drive that took him there can obviously take him big places. So as long as he's training and preparing well, and, you know, fixing the jiu-jitsu, fixing the striking, he'll be perfect. You know, I'm sure that he can go on a run, and he's got a perfect opportunity to do it this weekend. Unfortunately, his original opponent falls out, but he turns out to get arguably a better opponent, you know, 7-0 versus 4-0. That's two undefeated fighters going for it on a main card. I'm sure that they're going to try and steal the show. You know, Val's coming in with nothing to lose, and Bo Nickel has everything to lose. So, you know, there's going to be a lot on display in that fight. Yeah,
and I think if anybody's prepared to handle that pressure of potentially losing everything, it is Bo Nickel again, three-time NCAA wrestling champion out of Penn State. One of the most impressive things that I saw from Bo Nickel thus far in his career actually happened on the Fight Pass Invitational stage. He was on the mat with Oliver Taza, and he went to his back. He, like, willingly took a seat on the floor and played a guard game. And it's like, wow, wrestlers don't generally do that, let alone with someone as talented as Oliver Taza. I think there are a lot of things to learn about Bo Nickel. We're continuing to learn them each and every time out. You know, talking about grappling in the high-level wrestling, at the last Fight Pass Invitational, we saw RBY, Roman Bravo Young, also out of that Penn State program, make his submission grappling debut. You know, you're an international fighter coming over from Australia, training here in the States. That's one thing I hear a lot about the athletes talk about, the differences in training, in wrestling being a focal point. I got to imagine that you picked up a lot in your wrestling game from training here in the States with the wrestling pedigrees of the athletes that come through Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's awesome. Obviously, high school, college, there's a lot of opportunities to wrestle for these people. So they come off with a head start in front of us by miles and miles and miles. So the earlier you can get out here and wrestle with those people and learn from those people, you know, the better you are. I was very lucky in Thailand to have a good wrestling coach, Frank Hickman. He was an American wrestler as well out of North Carolina, and he did really well. Works with Israel, works with Alex. So he's a great coach. He started me off well, and now I train out here. I go to Gold Rush Wrestling here in Las Vegas sometimes and wrestle with the high school girls out of there. And those girls kick my butt. Yeah. So it's amazing. It's crazy to see like girls that are so young being so amazing at this. But girls like Tatiana Suarez too, right, who I train with, who's done that her whole life. It's second nature for her, and that's crazy. So I'm trying to get there, and obviously still a little ways to go, but my grappling from where it was in Australia to where it is in America is just exponentially better.
What is your favorite part of fight camp and just training in general? I mean, are you someone who likes to drill technique? Or are you someone who likes to focus on sparring? What do you do in the gym?
I love sparring just because I love getting into fights.
Right.
But I love learning as well. I want to be the best that I can be, and that means learning every day. So I'm in the gym more than anybody I know, and some people will tell you a little bit too much. You know, I'm in there at least 4 sessions a day, so I'm in there learning as much as I can from everyone who I can. I believe everyone has something to teach you, so I'm always seeking out new opportunities to learn.
So I'm guessing, like, when you have to take time away from an injury, it's got to be mentally fatiguing as well, because, you know, going to the gym is probably part of your everyday routine. So when you take a step back, it's probably really hard mentally.
Yeah, it was with the ACL injury. Obviously, it was a little hard, but I actually started hitting pads 8 days after my surgery, whether it was sitting on a chair or managing to just stand up a little bit, because I'm a little bit crazy. It might have been to my detriment, but you know, I can't stay away. It's got my heart. I love it.
Yeah, no, I definitely enjoy hearing about the psychological battles that athletes deal with, and like I can't imagine your doctor was happy with you hitting pads 8 days.
No, actually, Heather Linden from the PI cussed me out for that one. She was not happy with me, but you live and you learn. It's all good.
Yeah, right. You know, speaking of living and learning, a man who has done a lot of that over his time in mixed martial arts is ruthless Robbie Lawler. He fights tonight for the final time against Nico Price. He's a guy who said that he really pretty much stopped sparring throughout the second half of his career, and he thought that he had some, you know, longevity and durability increases from that. But man, Casey, I'm not going to lie, I might have a tear in my eye when Robbie Lawler makes that final walk tonight to the octagon.
I think we all will, you know. Robbie Lawler's been in our life since he was 19, and I think he's 42 this year, is he? So, you know, he's been around forever, and for as long as I've been watching it, Robbie Lawler's been fighting. But my favorite Robbie Lawler is when he went on that run and got the title, and obviously the Rory McDonald fight, everyone talks about that being amazing. He just got inducted for that fight. But when you go back and you actually watch old school Robbie Lawler, where he was reckless, you can see that even like in his later career, he became more methodical. He's more technical now. Maybe it's from not sparring so much, you know. He has a little bit of a better chin, and he makes it a more technical fight now. So we've got Nico Price, who's actually going to be the more reckless one, in my opinion, in this fight, and I'm very excited for it. Yeah,
I mean, to me, this is on the short list for potential fight of the night winner. I wonder if Robbie fights any different, knowing in the back of his mind that this is the last one. Like, that's got to be weighing on him in some way, shape, or form. You got to obviously put it out of your mind, but I got to think that there's some sort of influence that might trickle into how he performs tonight, being that it is his final showcase.
I think 100%. You know, you've seen the emotion in his face when Dana White was talking about him at the press conference. I think he has a lot of feelings. I think he is trying to subside them. But like you said, it is so hard when this has been your whole life, your whole this has been his whole life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think we get one last memorable Robbie Lawler fight.
Yeah, I mentioned I think I'm going to tear up a little bit on his walk. You know, what is it like for you when you're making the walk to the octagon? Because it seems like that's the moment for athletes to really sort of flip that switch. You know, are you aware of your surroundings? Do you have tunnel vision? Like, what is it like when you make that walk?
So in the Apex, it's a little different. My first 3 fights were in the Apex, and that just felt kind of weird. But in Houston, I got a crowd, and then in London, I got a crowd again. And just the infectious, like, cheer or boo or whatever's happening, you know, you feel emotions, and it gets you really fired up and ready to go. So I love the fans. I love that walkout. I love getting the energy from it. No matter how you're feeling out of the back, that just turns you on, and you're ready to go.
Do you hear your corner when you're fighting?
Occasionally.
Yeah?
Occasionally. I actually hear my opponent's corner more, I think.
Really?
I don't know why, but yeah.
Maybe it inspires you to like, oh, you're going to try to do that? Well, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and also in the Apex, I think I heard Michael Bisping the most out of anyone, which was crazy. So I was like, why can I hear Michael Bisping so clear right now? So.
Yeah, no. The Apex is a phenomenal building, but the acoustics in there, I remember when, you know, everyone started to go to the Apex in the COVID fights, and the sounds that you could hear from the, you know, athletes in the octagon, the leg kicks, just the sounds of a fight, it resonated with people watching, you know, at home through the television, unlike any other fights have. Like, it is a visceral experience when you can hear everything that's going on in a fight. Like, when you're not competing, do you ever watch a fight and go, wait, I do this? Like, that's what I do? Like,
sometimes when I see like the level of certain people, you know, you watch an amazing fight and you're just like, wow, I want to have one of those, you know, like people talk about classics all the time, and I think that's every UFC athlete's dream, is to have a fight that is known as a classic.
Right.
So for example, a big one for me of that was Joanna and Wei Li. That first fight,
yeah,
I was like, wow, girls on this level have never been showcased this way before, you know. We just keep getting better and better. Obviously, Joanna is one of my favorite fighters ever, and I've met Wei Li and trained with her, so I know how good they are, and that just drives me to have those type of fights. I want a dance partner in there that can give me a war like that, back and forth, and just, you know, put on a great fight for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think even non-fighters, when they see fights like Joanna and Wei Li, they're shadow boxing in their living room. It's hard not to get motivated and start moving around a little bit. Do you have a favorite fight of all time that you've watched?
Maybe Joanna and Wei Li, honestly, just because it's 2 women close to my weight, and, you know, it was an amazing fight. But I like every fight that I ever watch. Whether people say it's boring or not, I find enjoyment out of everything.
I mean, you have to. It's mixed martial arts. You never know what you're going to get. Like,
exactly.
That's the thing that I love about all the live event partners on Fight Pass, like Eternal MMA down in Australia, is it doesn't matter who's fighting. Just when you have 2 willing dance partners, like you say, you might get a fight of the year.
Exactly, yeah. I actually, if you guys want to jump onto Fight Pass, onto Eternal, and watch Fight of the Year, in my opinion, my little sister had a Fight of the Year last year, so that was a pretty awesome fight. Look up Robin O'Neill on Fight Pass. It's a great fight.
There you go. Check it out. Available now with your UFC Fight Pass subscription. We might have a fight of the night, fight of the year, fight of the century at UFC 290. That's coming up later on tonight. I will be back. Before then, we've got a whole bunch of programming coming up today here live from UFC X, and stick around for that because, man, it's just a fun time here at International Fight Week, and if you can't be here in person, what else are you going to do? Just stick around right where you are and hang out. Casey, I appreciate your time. Thank you for hanging out and doing extra rounds.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys, and enjoy the fights tonight.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break, come back. More programming is headed your way live from Las Vegas. This is Extra Rounds right here on UFC Fight Pass. We'll talk soon.
To catch an encore presentation of this broadcast or to check out the archive, visit Podcast Central, UFCFightPass.com. Extra Rounds is a TJ DeSantis production. Its content is intended for private use only.
Pinning round.
10-8 round.
Pinning round.
10-8 round.
Pinning round.
10-8 round.
We are live from UFC X. It is the Lover and the Fighter podcast on a Saturday morning here, afternoon on the East Coast. Brother, you know me. I'm not used to being awake this time of day, so you might have to carry us for the first 20 minutes till I wake up.
Well, I mean, typically, you should still be on East Coast time, right? So, I mean, it would be like 2 in the afternoon. You're still probably asleep, so yeah, you're right. I'll carry you, don't worry.
It doesn't matter. The Lover and the Fighter podcast, UFC Fight Pass. This is the UFC X, the two-day event, which is a super convention fan. Autograph, meet and greet, interactive, the biggest attraction by far. Dean Thomas moments ago, right here, signing autographs for people and being surprised that you sign left-handed, I guess.
Well, I'm left-handed.
Right, but why are they surprised by that? Clearly they didn't watch you as a fighter.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
right, yeah, they didn't know.
TV guy. We're going to be with you like 40 minutes or so, and we'll have guests maybe pop in, pop out. You've had a super busy week with your real job. You just got off the main stage. Like
yeah, I was on the stage doing a Q&A prediction panel with Laura Sanko, Michael Chiesa, hosted by Brandon Fitzgerald, talking about the fights that's going on tonight. So what an exciting time to be alive and to be live here at the UFC Expo.
You didn't give your predictions, did you?
I gave my predictions.
Because you are the Charles Barkley. I mean, listen, Dean Thomas is the best in the world at scouting, strategy. He sees things the others can't. That's why you're the coach corner analyst. But you're the world's worst prognosticator. You're the Barkley of MMA.
Well, the problem is because I see the path of victory and what they should do in order to win. It's just they don't do it.
Right.
They don't do it. If they would just do what I'm telling you to do, just do what I'm telling you to do, and it's going to work. But a lot of guys don't do it. But when it's over, then I can go back and tell them what they did wrong.
Speaking of what we should do, my vest, you saw this earlier. This vest, what it wants to do is bust wide open.
I can see that.
These buttons are screaming.
They're stretching out. They got stretch marks on them.
These buttons are screaming. Don't forget, my mama's so fat, her car got stretch marks.
I know.
Dad jokes. Dean Thomas, earlier this week, George St. Pierre said Elon Musk is, quote, much stronger than the average man. Is GSP being nice? Or
He's being, listen, everybody trying to get that bag. Because when Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg started talking about fighting, fighters started coming out the woodwork. Dudes, you can't get on the phone. Dudes that like you ain't seen in a while, you ain't heard from them in a while, was coming out the woodworks like, yo, put me on, put me in there, put me on. I'm like, man, these thirsty dudes, man, like all of them, John Jones, all of them. John Jones ain't been heard of in a minute. And then as soon as they was like, yo, we need a coach, John Jones come up. Yo, I got you. I was like, man, these dudes ain't about shit.
Well, keep in mind that we talked about this. Dean and I do a daily radio show, ESPN in South Florida. These are two super nerds. I mean, these are those nerds in school that nobody knew had that super nerd strength until like they freaked out. That Spaz kid that lost his mind one day and then threw a desk through the window. both these guys are the super duper nerds.
Yeah, they were like, don't mess with that guy.
Sometimes the super nerds, because they have all that hate and aggression that they've carried their whole life. Maybe Elon got on the mats with GSP and he let that out, and he's like, oh my, he's got nerd strength.
Listen, I feel like they can fight, though, because like when you're that smart and you understand how things work, because fighting is just understanding how things work, understanding how your body works, understanding how impacts work and things like that. And when you're that intelligent, you understand how things work. So they understand how the muscles work. So I'm sure that Elon Musk is probably pretty strong, but GSP's going to say what he's going to say anyway because he's trying to get that money.
Much stronger than the average man.
Well, I mean, but what does that actually mean? Like, what is the average man? Like, how strong is the average man, right? Like, what can the average man bench? I don't know.
160.
And then, like, much stronger could be 190. So, like, what does that mean, though?
Just saying. All right. Are we going to see this fight? Is it actually going to happen?
I'm hoping that it does happen. I kind of think that it could happen. Like, a lot of people are thinking it's just a publicity stunt, but when you're that rich and, like, you need things in life to stimulate you.
Right.
And I think that a fight between them would really make them feel like men. Because, like, when you're that rich, you can buy that feeling, but after a while it wears off. But to get into an actual arena and fight another human being will make you feel like a man. I think that they actually do fight.
With the opportunity to be exposed in front of everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, but then at that point, like, then they got the money to go ahead and make themselves feel better.
Make the video go away. So Zuckerberg loses the fight, and then any video of it on Instagram, Facebook gets immediately deleted.
And then what'll happen is they'll have like some type of program that flashes a red light that you just forget about it. Like everybody who sees that light's gonna forget about it. Yeah, like Men in Black. Yup. You're gonna forget about the video.
Don't forget, this week, Zuckerberg launched the Twitter ripoff.
Yeah, I saw it.
Threads.
I subscribed.
So shots fired at Elon Musk saying, okay, I'm going to take what you do it better. And then so now Elon probably really does want to get in there. And
like, man, I got to teach this kid a lesson.
Show him what's up. Earlier this week, Ultimate Fighter, you host, of course, the After Tough show on ESPN Plus, streaming at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, the shove. We actually saw what happened. We saw Ryan Bader seem to enjoy it more than he should have, especially because it's his teammate getting shoved. I don't know what that was about.
Like when you paying in on Ryan Bader's face, he's smiling.
So happy. but then when the shove happened, he stopped being happy.
Right.
But immediately he was like, yeah. And then he said, oh.
Yeah.
You reenacted this with Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
Tell us about your thought process getting into character to play the role of Michael Chandler.
Well, you know,
how many black children did you adopt? prior?
Well, speaking of that, like, Michael Chandler, if you out there listening, adopt me too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I deserve a good life. Adopt me too. I've seen his crib.
He has more black family members than you do.
He does.
If you do the math.
He does.
He does.
But when Air, my producer, was like, hey, we should, you know, we're always looking for stuff to do and recreate. And that was obviously a great moment of the episode. So, we said we're going to have Juliana shove you in the face, and they came up with it. The production team that came up with it, and Juliana was such a good sport about it. She was like, what should I say? And I was like, just you know, be mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted you to lose for such a long time.
Right.
Be mad at me and just take it out on me. And we took like 3 takes because the first shove, she didn't really lean into it. And then I let her know that, listen, you can lean into this.
The final take looks like WWE.
Yeah.
It looks like a promo.
Yeah.
I mean, you're under the arena.
Yeah.
You're in the hallway. You're acting, though, like you've got Chandler down. It's a caricature, like it's over the top.
Yeah.
What was he doing?
Yeah, well, like I said, well, see, I'm better like when as soon as I see it. So like right before we shot it, I just rewatched the clip of him doing that. I said, all right, I got it. And then as soon as they take action, I was like, let's go, I got it. Because Chandler, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, when something happened to him, they just get all excited and overexcited. That's really what that was.
You get the feeling that, you know, cameras are rolling. In the midst of this, he's like, I can't back down. I can't look punked.
Right.
But at the same time, that's my paycheck.
He's like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to fight right now, but I can't look like no punk right now neither.
No. Hall of Fame this week here at UFC International Fight Week. Of course, Lover and the Fighter podcast on Podcast Central at UFC Fight Pass. Hall of Fame coverage on Fight Pass, tremendous. Shout out TJ and gang. Jose Aldo enshrined this week, showing those emotions that I think a lot of people feel and he outwardly expressed. When you saw him make his way to the stage, you'd almost have to not have a soul to not feel what this man or feel for this man as he was overwhelmed with his own emotion.
Well, that was one of the things that I've always appreciated and admired about Brazilian fighters is how emotional they are. Now, while sometimes it doesn't work in their favor in fights because they allow those emotions to get to them, when they're showing gratitude for something, they're not afraid to express those emotions. And to watch him go through that and to watch him just let it out and be released that way, it was special because he earned it. And, you know, even at the later part of his career, you know, he had his ups and downs. Many people still consider him the greatest featherweight of all time. And he earned it. And for him to get that reception from the organization, especially just after retiring like a year ago, like it's special. And he deserves it. He earned it. And it was just happy to see him.
You don't have to be a fight fan. You don't have to know who he is, what it is. You see a man walking out like that and you it stops you. It doesn't matter what sport he may play, what he may do.
No, it doesn't matter what he does.
Right.
But when you see a man that vulnerable, you have to watch and see what's going on because he's allowing himself to be vulnerable in front of the world. And that is special. Not a lot of people can do that.
I made a prediction. I'll make it again. Next year, class of 24, you go in as contributor, pioneer, broadcaster, all the above. Don't jinx yourself, but...
Well, who knows? I mean, but you know what?
Campaign.
I'm not campaigning because like that's not what I don't do. I don't do this for any of that, man. I do this because I love it and because I don't got nothing else to do.
Speaking of Hall of Fame, Anderson Silva not able to make it, scheduling conflict. Very strange and I think disappointing for a lot of fans considering, you know, he's that guy, the Mount Rushmore. Anderson Silva not being in attendance for you think?
Well, to me, I think that's something that he's going to regret because like getting into the Hall of Fame is a big deal.
Well, how would you know?
Well, I mean,
not happening next year either.
I've seen, because I was there when Matt got in, you know what I'm saying? So, like, this is a moment where the entire world of MMA stops to recognize your accomplishments that you put your life behind. And, and everybody stops for that moment. And for him to not show up, that's something that I think that he's going to regret.
You only showed up when Matt Serra went in because I told you to. You weren't even going to attend. Well, I said, bro, that's your boy. His name is tattooed on your body.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the Golden Corral was having a special.
Golden Corral Sizzler.
Yeah.
You have 2 men's names tattooed on your body.
Mine and his.
Well, 3. Ethan.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Yeah,
so You're kind of like the restroom in a men's strip.
Next thing you know, I'm gonna start putting phone numbers on there.
In a men's club. Yeah. It's like the bathroom wall, the stall wall. It's just dudes' names all over the place. 10 years ago, it's funny because Dean and I go back. You guys don't know who the hell I am, and that's fine. We go back like babies and pacifiers, kind of like old dirty bastard said. 10 years ago this week, you and I were in a Duffy's in South Florida watching Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman, speaking of your boy Matt Serra, that group, Ray Longo and company, and we were standing there watching this fight when Anderson was clowning. Weidman caught him. I looked back to my left at your face, your jaw dropped, your mouth wide open. 10 years later, it's every bit as shocking as it was that day.
I mean, it still is. Like, when you still sit and think about that, it's just unreal, because you never thought Anderson was going to get beat. He was that larger-than-life character that you never thought was going to get beat. He had so much about him, like skill, talent, charisma. And when he was playing around, everybody goes, oh, he got caught because he was playing around, but he plays around in every fight.
Right.
So, like, you can't use that as an excuse, because he normally does that. He got caught, and he went out, and for a minute, like, I thought it was fake. I thought he was joking. I really thought he was joking. And he couldn't get up.
I'm standing like this, and you were behind my left shoulder, and I looked at your face, and you were in disbelief.
Couldn't believe it. I mean, even now, thinking back to that moment, I'm thinking, like, I can remember thinking in my head, like, nah, this is not real. This is fake.
10 years ago this week, and we bring that up only because it is International Fight Week. Anderson Silva going into the Hall of Fame, not attending, scheduling conflict, I guess we're told, but for the perspective thereof. So which was a bigger shock, Serra over GSP in that moment, or Silva getting knocked out by your boy Chris Weidman?
For me, still Serra over GSP.
Really?
Yeah, for sure, because regardless of that, of what was going on in that, regardless of him getting knocked out, he was still kind of dominating Chris. He was still he put himself in a position where he could play around. And then he got caught. And then to me, it just didn't seem real. The Matt Serra GSP was a one-sided beating from beginning to end. It wasn't even competitive. And Matt beat GSP from beginning to end. So to me, that was more shocking.
So there's a Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson comparison in that it's a huge shock to the outsider, but if you're watching the fight play out, you realize this dude's winning the whole way.
Right, he was winning the whole way. I mean, he was landing shots. He was doing what he wanted to, and he had he had GSP on the run.
Right.
And he caught him over the top, had him tapped to strikes. GSP tapped to strikes. That is surprising. That's surprising.
Yeah, that's wild. This is the Lover and the Fighter podcast. Brother Love, JC, that's me, Dean Thomas. Fighter, coach, corner, broadcaster, entertainer. I mean, how do we sum up how far your career's gone? You could walk in here naked 2 years ago. No one would look at you. And now it's Beatlemania as you make your way through the crowd.
Well, I could still walk in here naked and no one would look at me. That's a good test. Yeah, for different reasons.
Isn't it true that when you step out of the shower, you look like that first glimpse of an alien in Signs?
Absolutely.
At the Chilean birthday party.
These long gangly arms and this big old stomach that hangs out.
I remember that you made that reference. Robbie Lawler tonight will have his farewell fight in the world of mixed martial arts and certainly the UFC. Legend Robbie Lawler, 41 years of age plus. You know this fighter well. You know his career well. In fact, you were coaching Tyron Woodley about 7 years.
Has it been 7 years?
7 years ago last month, when you stripped Robbie Lawler of the welterweight belt. Tyron Woodley, of course, in that victory. Your thoughts on Robbie Lawler? Not necessarily this fight, but just career-wise. What do the fans what do they now recognize, appreciate about his body of work?
But I think that's the big thing that they appreciate about him is, I mean, his body of work speaks for itself. Now, we live in a day and age where fighters are doing all kind of things to gain attention. They have to do social media. They have to talk their game. They have to call out their next fight. Robbie Lawler is a guy who never has to say a word, and people will always love him and want to fight him. And that says a lot about his fighting style and what he's done inside of that cage. And he's got moments that are just unforgettable. Like, that are still, like, if you were to ask true MMA fans, like, give me your top 10 moments in MMA, Robbie would have a couple of them.
He's that guy.
He's that guy. Robbie, like, just him and Rory McDonald, the second fight, moment where they're staring at each other, that's probably in everybody's top 5 favorite moments. His moment against Melvin Manhoef when he knocked him out. I mean, Robbie has moments that you just go, man, that's that guy right there.
He's such a piece of UFC history.
He sure is, man. And he's a first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt.
And
without a doubt.
And he's in already now.
Right, and he should get in twice
for the fight.
for just him being a fighter.
And you've always said he looks like Blake Griffin's brother.
He does. He looks just like Blake Griffin.
Speaking of NBA, we'll make that transition and we will slide in because joining us now from the NBA, Evan Turner, who happens to be a huge UFC and MMA fan, is making his way to the set. Credentialed as media, by the way. I can't, but he is.
Okay.
That's a different story for a different day. Here comes Evan Turner, going to join us here in the middle. How are you? Great to see you.
Good to see you. What's up,
What's
brother?
up, dog? How you living?
Pleasure to see you. I'm living great. I'm living great. Y'all look good.
Well,
he looks good. I just came out, you know what I'm saying? I came out of bed.
No, you always ready. You stay ready.
I,
So.
I do stay ready, though.
He looks like he's dressed for a Spirit airline flight. We're on TV.
Is that how you flew here?
That's how I flew here. I got delayed twice, actually. From Columbus, Ohio. There's no directs from Columbus, Ohio to Vegas. I took it like a champ. You know what I mean?
But when you're on a Spirit flight, are people like, he looks like Evan Turner, but there's no way Evan would be on Flying Greyhound?
Yeah, no, I tell people, I'm like, no, I'm still rich. I just had to take the flight. You know what I mean? I'm resourceful. You know what I'm saying? I'm a survivor. Darwinism at its finest.
I'm still rich. Don't get it twisted. Do you do the big seats up front?
The big seats, no recliner, but at the same time,
it's
you
still
still
Spirit.
got. It's all right. It's all right.
Summer League has become such a thing. We were talking about it on ESPN Radio yesterday. It used to be just kind of preseason, and now it's an event. Are you shocked at what Summer League's become?
No, I'm actually, it's kind of crazy, but it's pretty cool. I think the UFC can kind of, relate to it. The way the sport starts growing, the more of a spectacle it is right now. People are coming to one of the, biggest entertainment capitals in the world just to watch, 20-year-old kids play, a scrimmage game. So it's been pretty good. I think it's great for the sport of basketball. And I think the energy around it's just going to keep driving up the numbers, the revenue, and, the popularity.
NBA baller, Spirit Airline frequent flyer,
yes,
Evan Turner joining us on the Love of the Fighter podcast. Dean, tell Evan what you said about NBA players when it comes to scrapping on the court.
Man, listen, I love y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all got a lot of grace. Y'all got a lot of skill. But man, y'all hands need work, man. Y'all cannot fight. What's going on with y'all?
The windmill. The windmill.
Bro, to be honest with you, because I've done boxing a minute, so clearly the coordination takes time to get there because. There's no different than your first time.
I get it.
But then once we get going, I'm not gonna lie, I dance. When I get going, I get to dancing. You know what I mean? So my stuff like that, I can't speak like everybody else, but. It takes time, and we're natural athletes.
I be seeing them dudes. They be out there put the palm in.
They're righties and lined up southpaw. They're overblown. Everything. You can see their punch coming from a mile away.
So, they have the rookie symposium on don't gamble and social media and how to conduct yourself, etc. Maybe you should hold a rookie symposium on fighting so these guys stop windmill throwing and looking.
It's true, man. It's a bad look.
You might have to show up, man.
I'll show up, man. It's a bad look.
I think that would be good for sure.
Evan Turner, who are the 3 players in the NBA you would least want to fight because they actually do have hands?
James Johnson.
I heard of him.
James.
I mean, I know his homeboy.
He's a bad boy. Yeah. James Johnson. Damian Lillard is a very, very into boxing, and
I saw him hit pads once.
Yeah, he's pretty thorough, and I don't know if he's. David West from back in the day or Zaza Pachulia. They're not in the league right now, but there's not many people I'm really afraid of.
Who would you most want to fight?
Who would I most want to fight?
Yeah.
Who would I want to punch in the face?
Yeah. Who's got a punchable face right now?
Who's got a punchable face?
Mason Plumlee?
Mason Plumlee. That's hilarious. Well, you don't like Mason Plumlee?
I love Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, no.
That's a great name, though.
Yeah, well, I punched Mason. No, I almost punched Mason once, but not for nothing serious. Probably Klay Thompson. No.
For real?
I'm just joking. It's all love with the NBA guys. It's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
I mean, the scuffles and stuff only last for 10 seconds, and you go back to appreciating like the battle and the competition of it all.
We heard from all these rookies that came in. They asked them who they wanted to dunk on, and they all said LeBron. Out of respect, because it'd be that moment. This past season, he broke the all-time NBA scoring record, 20 seasons in. Do you remember your first time when you were on the court, you took a look, and was LeBron on that level for you, like these guys talk about?
Yeah, to me, it was Kobe.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I was born in '88. I remember being 8 and seeing Kobe win the NBA dunk contest. Coming on the court and being like, yo, we're in LA. This is what I've been waiting for. And he had 38 that night. So that was everything and more, to go up against one of your idols. And with LeBron, you know, it's dope to compete versus him in his prime at the high level, and you know, to really see what greatness is, because you know, he's done some amazing things. It's been unbelievable.
But
so
you were born in '88.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so all right, so yeah, Kobe be your guy. I was in the gym at Lower Merion High School when Kobe announced that he was going to take his talents to the NBA.
That's crazy. That's right. And I ended up moving. I lived on 191. I lived in Mainline. I lived right up the street in Mainline.
I lived on Cricket Avenue.
Oh, did you? Okay, I lived at the Corinthian. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You can get coffee if you want. You're
Yeah,
good
yeah,
for
go
that.
ahead, man. I'm just trying to figure out what's up with Mainline. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to
It's
get it
a
up.
beautiful place. I lived in
It is.
Conshohocken, Gladwin, everywhere.
Well, I lived in Southwest Philly for the first 20. He laughed. Your boys from Philly know.
yeah.
I lived at 73rd and Lindbergh, and when I say that, people go, "Oh, damn." So the main line for that was kind of like moving on up, like George and Wheezy. It was a whole nother world. It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Dean's got questions for you in regard to fighting. Why NBA players love MMA and the UFC so much?
Well, first off, I will say this, man. I do respect a lot of NBA players because y'all have respect for each other more so than fighters do.
Yeah.
It's like y'all have, like you talked about that brotherhood. Like how can we get that? Because like fighters, man, like, fighter or fighter, good fighter, they'll be like, oh man, I'll kick that dude's ass. But you guys, like, somebody have a good game and you'll be like, yo, that dude was balling.
Yeah, I think it's different at this level. I mean, when you're coming down to it, somebody punch you in the face, as a fighter, you should never, ever, ever be okay with that. So, like, even in the league, when we look at you guys, we're like, bro, I don't know how they even get hit. And be like, yo, he was straight. Good job. Like, no, bro, my whole eye is slit. Like, I want to kill you, you know? But I think one thing that occurs is, you know, we play 82 games, and I think eventually the NBA does a great job of building that brotherhood. We have a union, and when it comes down to it, you kind of, like everybody else, you identify with that person like yourself. We all went through the same struggle, and, you know, we all want to just make sure we feed our families. And I think when it comes down to it as a humane piece, you're always going to respect that person.
So who's your favorite fighter?
Who's my favorite fighter?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I like Israel Adesanya.
There you go.
I like Volkanovski, but you know, Sweet Dreams is my guy.
Yeah.
I like Sweet Dreams.
He can hoop, man.
No, Sweet Dreams can hoop.
Yeah,
That's my dude.
I watched him hoop last night. I said, man, I didn't know he could hoop like that.
Yeah, no, Sweet Dreams is my dude, and I guess one other dude, I like Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
I was a Cyril Gane fan too. Obviously, John Jones took him out, but I was appreciative of how agile he is at 6'4". You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cyril Gane, that's what you said when you tried to get breakfast and there was nothing in the box.
Cyril Gane.
Yeah. Who do you think, who y'all think the best fighter is in the world?
Today?
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to find out tonight. But if Volk wins, it's hands down Volkanovski. Yeah. If Volk wins, it's Volkanovski.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Volk. I joke around or whatever, but I'm like, Volk is in his moment of like Ali time. Like we're seeing like a master at work, like a great fighter. He's unbelievable.
So if there was any fighter that was like comparable to you, the way you played basketball, who would it be?
Nate Diaz.
Oh, yeah?
Right, Nate.
So you smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah, something like that.
Got it.
Nah, bro.
You was just giving people a finger on the court like, hey, man.
Yeah, I've done that before. Probably Street Jesus, you know what I mean?
You
never really been champ, but the Underground King. Would really fight anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you get enough respect. I might not have a Hall of Fame career, but I'm memorable, or at least I like to think. I think my game is like that, and you know, just gotta be honest with it. You know, I think those two guys on any given day can give anybody their best. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's
two good dudes to pick.
So
memorable dudes to pick.
So I wouldn't say anything like Conor or anybody. I didn't win championships, but something like that for sure.
I love it.
Fair enough. We don't want to keep you.
Oh, no, thank you. Thanks for having me, man. Y'all some smooth dudes, man. Appreciate you.
My
real,
man.
Coach. Appreciate
Stay
it.
up, man. Stay up.
I'll see you soon. Hopefully we can get in a ring, all right?
Yeah, let's do this.
Be careful what you wish for.
I know.
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. I ain't messing with that, brother.
I'm talking with you. Evan Turner, who knew? Philadelphia ties, you and I, mainline, Kobe guy. It makes sense. But it's amazing, because we talked about this. You'd be at T-Mobile Arena for fight weeks, and you see all the ballers. You see Chris Paul, James Harden, the biggest NBA stars in the world, and they look at you, they look at your ears, and they recognize, and then they become the beta immediately. They recognize.
They recognize.
So the NBA guys, oftentimes, they have all of that, then see the fighters, and they defer.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, because there's something about fighting that you can't put a price tag on. You can't put money on that. And that's why I think the Elon Musk and Zuckerberg thing may take place, because you can't buy that feeling. You can't buy that the feeling of knowing that I could, like, if there's a bottle of water here, I don't care how much money, like, if we had to fight for this bottle of water, I'm taking it.
What about on the undercard, you get Jeff Bezos from Amazon to take on that guy from MySpace. That was everyone's first friend.
Tom?
Tom. So
Jeff Bezos versus Tom.
Let's do Tom and Bezos on the undercard.
Yeah, I love it.
You down for that?
I love it.
All right, let's continue on. Josiah Harrell found a brain condition in the MRI this week prior to his fight. It is a formality to have this MRI. They found that he has issues that this MRI may have saved his life. Had he fought, Lord knows what would have happened. This is one of those stories in which you go, oh my God, you forget like what is possible. Thank God that these measures are in place.
Well, thank God you're right, like thank God for commissions, thank God for the way they conduct and the protocols before a fighter is even allowed to fight. Because that could have been catastrophic, and it could have been catastrophic not only for him but for the entire sport. And they caught it, and they nixed it right then and there. So, like, thank God that we have those protocols, and hopefully, they did say, I did read something about he could get better and be able to fight again. Right. But thank God that he wasn't. They didn't just throw him in there. Like, all right, man, we needed somebody to take over this fight.
He's so grateful. People they're mad the fight's off. Thank God the fight's off. Thank God they found this. We'll move on. Speaking of, you mentioned Alexander Volkanovski, who tonight can make a case. Is there something going on back there?
Sean Strickland's taking his shirt off on the stage. Yeah.
We can't show that, but Sean Strickland's taking his shirt off. Is there a bunch of Nazi tattoos or what?
No Nazi tattoos, but there's people, but everybody's clamoring for it, so like it's a little weird.
All right, fair enough. Maybe you should take your shirt off, get the attention back over here.
No, remember what we said earlier? If I get naked, ain't nobody looking. Everybody's turning away.
It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Volkanovski got a Band-Aid on his face this week. I don't know if he's a big Nelly fan, if it's a tribute to a cousin who's incarcerated. Remember Nelly always wore? Some people believe Volk is hiding a nasty cut. It's under his eye. What do you know about this, Dean Thomas?
I don't know anything about this. Now, remember what you said about Bill Belichick, how Bill Belichick doesn't give you much. Right. Volkanovski is the same way in terms of the way he handles himself during fight week. He's not going to give you much. He'll give you that Band-Aid. It may be nothing under there. He may just be doing that
like your swimsuit.
Yeah, exactly. He may just be doing that as a ploy. Like it may be nothing, or it could be a little cut, or it could be a big cut. Like we don't know. But Volkanovski is a master chess player, inside and outside of the octagon. So no one knows what's under that Band-Aid. I'm curious. It could be a nasty cut, but it could be nothing, and he could just be getting everybody excited over nothing.
What if it is a tattoo and it says "F.U. Makachev"?
Yeah.
Like Post Malone.
Yeah, I know, right? But it could be a teardrop. You know what I'm saying? He might have got to a gang. You know what I'm saying?
Gang. It's like that now. You are the world's foremost strategist. Again, that's why you are the Coach Corner analyst on the UFC pay-per-view broadcast and the main coach. You are seeing the things that the analysts don't see or going deeper on that. Tell this audience what it is that Volkanovski does so well he doesn't get enough credit for.
Well, I mean, I think he does get some credit for it, but I don't know if it's even enough. Like, it's understated how well he makes adjustments on the fly. And what that means is, like, some guys come in with a game plan, and you see them really trying their hardest to make that game plan work. Like Volkanovski, he comes in with a game plan. But if something's not working, he's able to make an adjustment right on the fly and make it work for him. And then if somebody does something offensively to him, it'll never happen again in that fight.
So those adjustments come from experience and calm.
It comes from experience, calm, decision-making, having the arsenal to have the options to make the adjustment. Because, like, you can't throw a right hand if you don't got a right hand. But he can make those adjustments. But even defensively, he'll get hit with a shot, and he'll acknowledge it, and that fighter will never be able to hit him with that same shot again.
So for tonight in this matchup, and this is maybe a more dangerous matchup for Volk than the odds makers are giving him, you have a live dog in this spot.
Kind of. And the reason why is because while I say if you get that one shot on Volk, you'll never get it again. Yair has the ability to get that one shot and not need another one. Not need to do it again. So that's the problem. If Yair can sneak a shot in and hurt Volk, he could put him away.
Fair enough. Last night, a Power Slap event. Dana says Power Slap performing beyond expectation. Huge internationally, huge numbers. India, urban, and elsewhere. Says a video game is coming. as well. He said there were 34. Now, why is that funny? Power slap video
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to think of like how, like, you know, like you wind it up and you're just winding up with a video game, and then it's like,
well, you got to time it. It's
yeah,
like,
and
it's
then
like
you got to time
Nintendo Track and Field.
Pow!
So I'm thinking, what is the best video game platform for Power Slap the video game? I'm thinking Sega Dreamcast. Or ColecoVision.
ColecoVision, yeah.
Because you got all the knobs and buttons and wheel.
I'm thinking they should just, like, I would do Power Slap if it was like virtual reality.
Right.
Yeah, I would do that.
You get a shot
that
like a
would
dog collar.
Yeah, like just be like,
But standing there waiting for someone to slap you, I don't have
yeah,
it. You don't know. No.
Like, it is crazy, too, because, like, we think we bad, right? The fighters think they tough. But you could ask any fighter, they're like, man, I ain't letting nobody hit me.
No.
Are you crazy?
No.
Like, we were talking about this, I was like, man, I would never let a dude hit me. Them dudes are crazy.
But you remember I told you Power Slap was going to be huge.
Yeah, for sure.
Before it premiered, I said, this will relate to simplicity.
So it's simple. Yeah, you don't got to, it's easy to watch, easy on the eyes.
And it's dramatic what might happen in that moment.
Yeah, I know, and I'm like, man, I would, but for me, I'd slap the shit out of somebody, but I ain't never but if I lost that coin toss, I'm bowing out right now. That's
tap.
Yeah, they flip the coin, they like, all right, he's first. I'm like, all right, I quit.
Dean knows at one time in college, I got called by a dude to come over his dorm room, and I knew he was going to slap me because I splashed him with a puddle, and he was like, man, come by, come through. And when I did, he got out of bed. It was the worst part. He got out of bed, and he slapped the shit out of me. I had a handprint on my face. I had to walk back to my dorm.
Go to the other side.
And I was like, what's up? Yeah. And it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. It was after geology. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. It was so humiliating.
You got that power slap.
His handprint, literally.
And you just had to take it.
And that's all I could do is take it. UFC NYC, November 11. I think November 11.
Yeah.
11/11, 295. John Jones, Stipe Miocic. This fight's happening. This fight appears to be what the fans have wanted. Might be a special weekend in New York.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I love the announcement. It's some part of me, because it was International Fight Week, I think it was a bit overshadowed because of so much was going on. But still, we can carry this on for next week. I mean, this is a conversation that we're going to be talking about up until the fight. It's obviously the fight that everybody wanted. It's the fight that the heavyweight division needs right now. All the heavyweights need this fight to happen so that they can feel like they have an opportunity to get to the belt. So I'm just glad that it's happening. You know, I'm glad to see John Jones back fighting again. I'm glad Stipe was able to make the deal. This is an amazing turn of events. So good on them, man.
Somebody pointed out on Twitter with Robbie Lawler's retirement tonight, that'll be the last fighter who actively is in the UFC that Colby Covington has beaten. He will, after tonight, have no wins over anyone still on the roster. Does that sound accurate to you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I gotta look back. Yeah. I gotta look back. But I mean, it might be true. It might be true.
I had dinner last night with members of Pantoja's team. They think this is their time. They believe this is their time. This is a fight tonight. Again, that's a live dog. Maybe the odds makers had Moreno about -200. We may hear Anu tonight once. We may hear it possibly twice.
I mean, to me, I feel like it's a tough spot for Pantoja because Pantoja, I mean, he's obviously, you know, he's not the favorite here. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be the more popular fighter. They're going to boo him. He's probably going to use that as motivation. But I just think that the last couple of years have been so good to Moreno that he can take that and use that as fuel to go into this fight. He's going to go into this fight with the crowd behind him. Not only that, but how much, like, he's a completely different fighter from the first time he fought Pantoja.
Both are, they claim.
Yeah, well, how can that be? Like, when you look at Pantoja's fights, the only thing that may have changed about him is he's more aggressive. But that's not going to win the fight for him in this case. Because I don't think he beats Moreno in the first round like he was able to steamroll the other guys. So I don't know how he gets, honestly, I don't know how he gets it done.
As the foremost scout, analyst, inside strategist, who's the fighter tonight people should be paying attention to? Maybe under the radar that you're saying, watch this fighter because they're on this come up. Who do you have your eye on?
I got Jalen Turner.
Yeah.
Jalen Turner for sure.
With the weight miss.
Even with the weight miss, I mean, it was obviously a miscalculation in his weight cut. And that happens. Like, people, sometimes we don't forgive fighters for missing weight, but you got to understand these guys do it twice a year. You know, and like sometimes he's coming off of an injury, so they don't do it often enough to like give him, to give him a whole bunch of shit because they missed weight. Obviously, he didn't do it on purpose. He just didn't make the weight. But despite that, he's going to have to go back and make sure that he's a little bit better at it next time. But I think he runs through Dan Hooker tonight.
Before we sign off, speaking of weight loss, missing weight cut, let's not forget International Fight Week. Nick Diaz missing by 13 pounds over Robbie Lawler. Shout out for missing by 13 pounds.
That's not even trying. That's just showing up going, yo, listen, this is me. I'm here. And if y'all want to let this fight go on, that's up to y'all. But I'm here.
Yeah, we'll do it like this, or we won't do it. But,
but
I'm here.
I'm here. So like, what y'all want to do? Y'all can take the fine, but what y'all want to do?
And that's about it. Well, this was fun. We should do this again, but record it maybe for next week. What do you think?
Yeah. How about we just replay this
every week?
Every week until next year we record another one.
Do the same thing. UFC X, thanks for having us. UFC Fight Pass, thanks for having us. Dean Thomas, Brother Love, JC, Josh Cohen, the Love and the Fighter podcast. Watch it from time to time. We're trying to get renewed for next year. Maybe they'll pay us.
Hopefully.
$5 or $10 an episode. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you. UFC Fight Pass Podcast Central.